So much today. And Kevin, I'll pass things off to you if you want to
Yeah,
introduce the webinar topic and then start with some quick intros from yourself, pass to Michael and then
that
Shui.
sounds great. So thank you everybody for joining. My name's Kevin Lobo. I'm Executive Vice President of Consulting here at Analytics8. I'm going to be helping to facilitate the panel discussion today. For those of you who don't know Analytics8, we're a data analytics consultancy. We're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. We have over 20 years of experience delivering data analytics solutions for our clients. One of the areas that we've seen substantial growth and acceleration in within our services is in the Databricks ecosystem, which is why we're so excited about today's webinar topic, which is Genie Ontology. So Databricks announced Genie Ontology at Databricks Summit last month. Genie Ontology was one of the more important announcements because it addressed one of the biggest gaps in enterprise AI. There's an extensive amount of business context in and around data, and without that context accurately captured, agentic workflows are going to continue to work within silos, and values will never really fully be realized. So Genie Ontology serves to bridge that gap by building a map of what a business actually means. So joining me today on our panel are Michael Coleman, he's a senior consultant at Analytics8, and Shui Yang, solution architect at Databricks. Michael and Shui, if you wouldn't mind, could you give a quick intro on yourselves?
Yeah, nice to have everybody here. Thanks for joining. My name is Mike. I'm a senior consultant here with Analytics 8. I've been working with Databricks for 4 or 5 years now, throughout kind of this AI boom. So it's been really cool to see what they're doing and how we're kind of implementing solutions. Located in Boston, been working in data for, man, I don't know, 10 years now. I think I'm getting a little old, but yeah, that's me.
Oh,
Awesome.
hey everyone, my name is Xue. I'm a partner solution architect at Databricks. So I'm so glad to be here to have this discussion with Analytics8. They are our greatest partner and to discuss this very interesting topic. So nice to meeting you all.
Awesome. So before we dive into it, we wanted to pose a poll question for our attendees today. It's going to pop up in Zoom. Don't be shy about entering your responses. But the question is your data ready for AI agents? Enter one for yes, two for no, and three for not sure, because sometimes we just aren't sure. So if you want to take a moment, you can enter your response. Unfortunately, host and panelists can't vote, so I'm just going to be looking for you guys to contribute.
That's great. I'll give everyone another 10 seconds here to submit their poll answer and I will go live with it.
Awesome.
All right, going once, going twice. Here we go. And end the poll. All right, I'm going to share the results here. Is everyone seen on their screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, it looks like 18% said yes, about half said no, and a little over a third said not sure. So pretty interesting here.
Yeah, and I mean, this definitely aligns to kind of what I was expecting, and hopefully by the end of the webinar, you feel a little bit more confident in having your data ready for agents. But I think this is a good jumping off point. So why don't we dive into the discussion and we can get going here. Okay, so we have a couple questions. So we're going to lead off with number one. So, question to the panel: where do you see AI agents breaking down for companies?
Yeah, I'll start here just by saying, I think one of the major pieces that we see is we're seeing companies and businesses really discover how inconsistent their data is and how inconsistent their business definitions actually are for things. As we start to implement AI and agents, that really uncovers a lot of the things that people don't typically think about when it comes to semantics, right? We're not just talking about, the data itself and having comments on your columns or definitions in your tables. We're talking about the general information that your company has, and all of that proprietary knowledge that you've built up over the years, and having that in a usable format for AI where it's actually consistent, right? Um, and to supplement that, I think a lot of companies are realizing how much information and proprietary knowledge are still in people's heads,
Yeah.
right? That's a classic one for businesses and enterprises is, somebody's worked there for 20 years, they're the go-to person for something, but AI really doesn't know how to directly speak to that person, right? So we need to like shift our focus to actually being able to bring all of that knowledge into one area. Another thing I think we're seeing a lot of is building that connection between AI and your knowledge, right? I think people see it now as kind of a black box, or even, I think a lot of people know about building like RAG, retrieval augmented generation systems, where, you can connect AI to some of your proprietary documents and such. But using it just in that fashion as a chatbot or something like that, not as a full agentic workflow, is somewhere where we're seeing like the disconnect between we hear all these cool things that AI agents can do and all of the tools that are being built for AI agents to use, but how do we actually make that, an organizational workflow rather
Yeah.
than just something that, I can connect these documents to AI, so if I have a question, it can answer it. That's great, but how do we have these agents actually go and make decisions and do things for us, right? It's kind of building that black box. And, the final thing that I always see, I see a lot of, whether it's enterprise, personally, people that I talk to that use AI, you get AI overload, right? AI it's like employing, the fastest people on earth to do tasks for you. Well, they can do a lot of tasks, but now you're overloaded with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that's super important is to make sure that you have some type of system in place that, when AI begins to generate outputs in things that you're asking it to do, you're not getting too much AI overload. So I think we see that a lot with enterprises where, we don't want to pump the brakes, but we want to make sure that we have a correct architecture to actually be using all of these AI insights that it's generating and not just generating a bunch and throwing them away?
Yeah. Shui, I'd be interested to kind of get your point of view on that too as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think Michael just summarized very well about why the AI actually doesn't look very where like because we also see, right, the you can always see like AI generates like a very brilliant demo, but when you really bring that to your business context, to your real enterprise use cases, always like you feel like the missing a little bit, right? And a lot of time we see is like within the demo, actually human already did the relatively hard part, right? We had a very clear data set cleaned for them, and we sort of agreed with what the question meant, and we know what the agreed answer looks like. So the AI or the agent is working through this path that already sort of paved for it, right? So when it meets reality, they have to they hitting those blocks. They nobody paved those paths for them. They have to figure by themselves, and actually in reality they don't have access to things, right? The things we are missing is like unclear the business definitions, what the specific terms mean, right? Does everyone in the company agree with that one? And sometimes we see conflicting sort of dashboard, right? So the AI don't know which one to trust. Maybe there's three reports having three numbers. They're all correct in the different contexts or different department definitions. So there's no like a sort of unified sort of agreement on those things, right? And also some undocumented logic. It's maybe buried in your SQL, your spreadsheets, or like we just mentioned, someone's had, and those knowledge are not shared with AI as well. And also some metadata and sort of data, or your metadata is actually fragmented in different source system, right? So your AI agent on this system doesn't get access to the other, and then that's kind of a silo of not only data but also the context layer that actually fails AI in your enterprise real life experience. So,
No,
yeah.
all really good points. And I mean, I encountered the same thing in my day to day. I'm leveraging our own internal data warehouse, running my own agentic process flows. And, I've been with the firm for 11 and a half years. So there are pieces of institutional knowledge that I have that isn't represented in my workflows that I have to kind of then fill in the gaps. So I see that breakdown happening to myself on my own day to day. So definitely, very much so feel those points. Why don't we jump to our next topic? So next question for the panel. Why is business context so difficult for AI to understand?
Yeah, I want to just extend what I just mentioned on
Mhm.
this question. I think basically we are creating multiple versions of truths, And this is not intelligence alone it can solve, right? Because we know today those AI models are pretty much like incredible powerful. They can do a lot of things. But and also every day, like the newer, the more capable models are coming, released, and really rapid pace. So we think it's not a really the model cannot understand, but the bottleneck is they actually do not have the access or do not have the accurate and trusted context to rely on. So a simple example, right? If you hire a really brilliant analytics on day one and you just give them a bunch of row table dumps with no data dictionary, there's no access rules, and no one to ask questions, then you can imagine even it's really brilliant analytics. They cannot give you a really good results, right?
Yeah.
But it's not because they are not smart. It's all because they are missing the context that every good analytics build up over time. So we want to provide that one to the AI, right? So I think the missing piece, again, I just mentioned is trusted definition, right? So most of the time, the company has no like a single governed definition of a certain matrix or business context, and that the questions can depends on. And also another things I think it's very important is the governance and the permission, right? So the AI is powerful, but you cannot really just dump everything to them, because your data within your organization is not their privacy, their governance need to be aligned. So the system doesn't know who allows to see what. So the answer either unsafe, right? Or it's overly restricted, so you don't get
Yep.
the right answer. Also, the lineage, we are missing that lineage for AI, so they cannot figure out, hey, whether this data is feeding the answer from a trustworthy source, or basically figure out where it comes from. Is that trustable? And also the semantic business context, right? We already mentioned the AI only can see your maybe column names.
Yep.
There's no meaning. But if we can provide those, that will be super. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Shui just said. You answered all of the questions there. But one thing I guess I can supplement on here is, in addition to all of the knowledge and the semantics that Shui was just talking about when it comes to the data itself and everything that you have, one thing that I've noticed personally, especially when we're trying to do stuff with AI and agents when it comes to your company's proprietary knowledge is like, I'll give a simple example where let's say your company has something like an operational guide or a sales playbook or, something like that that gives true context to your business or what it does, right? And we're talking about things beyond just like column comments or any of the metadata surrounding the data yourself, but more data itself, but more talking about, your enterprise knowledge, right? So let's say you have some type of sales playbook that your AI is reading in, you have it in some agentic workflow or something like that, right? What happens when you update that? You know, what happens when you push out a new version or you change your philosophy on how something works, right? And you create a new playbook or a new operational guide and you put it out there into this new agentic workflow or whatever. A question that I often try and ask myself is what's happening with the old playbook? Is it still out there somewhere in the data ether? Is some AI agent still able to use it? Is it tagged in is there metadata surrounding it, pointing it to the new version, saying that there's a new one out there to point to it, right? So I think there's a part to understanding the context where we need to make sure that not only is our actual data being versioned properly, but it's also the operational knowledge that we're feeding agents and things like that that are versioned properly, metadata tagged. It's okay to, keep the old version of the sales playbook, but we want to make sure that it's explicitly being stated to the AI agents that like this is outdated, let's use the new one or something like that, right? So I think that's also super important when it comes to, making sure that the trustworthiness and that there is authority behind our proprietary enterprise knowledge that's out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a really, really relevant point, and it's something that, real simple example is you're connecting an agent to your SharePoint site. to basically glean referential information to populate an RFP or some sort of documentation, but you're pulling in things that aren't necessarily vetted, things that might be extremely dated, and kind of passing,
V1,
yeah,
V2,
V1,
V3,
V2,
like,
the
yeah,
timestamp from 2017. So we've seen those examples across the board, and I think that's a really, really important point that, yeah, like what do you do when you retire the
right.
document? How does that factor in to your contact strategy? But all really good points. I do want to keep us moving. So let's jump on to the next question that we have. So this one, I'm sure everybody that's on the webinar has heard this topic before, but everybody is talking about AI ready data. If you go out on LinkedIn, if you read a blog post, if you talk to professionals, everybody's talking about that concept. But I guess for the panel, what does AI ready actually mean? And what is often missed for enterprise organizations when they're thinking about the concept of AI ready data?
Yeah, I could start here, really talking about it. In my head, I kind of break it up into two pieces, right? So first, we're talking about the data foundation itself, right? Making, govern, we've been saying this a lot throughout this call, but really govern, trustworthy, business native data that, has the semantics built into it. Making sure things are factually correct, and more importantly, making sure things are contextually correct, right? So that kind of brings in that whole semantic layer where, you know, we can say ROI five times in five different places in our organization, but to make sure that the context is actually built into the data itself and making sure it's correct and making sure that your data foundation has those strong reliable practices implemented that we've seen since data really started first appearing and how that's evolved. um and I think that's what drives the first half here, where it's making sure we have that factually and contextually correct data. But at Analytics 8, we use a data value model, right? And yep, there it is on the screen. So what I'm talking about here is really that bottom half of the pyramid here,
Yeah.
where we're talking about, ingesting the data, the raw source data, making sure it's transformed, making sure it's business ready and into analytics, and kind of before this AI boom that we've seen, that was kind of the pyramid itself, right? Kind of stopped at analytics, maybe a little bit of intelligence beyond the analytics, but not a whole lot of the automated decisions and things like that. But we've really lately seen a shift in focus there, right? We've seen that, okay, we've been practicing and building this data foundation, and we know the standards and we know what the right way to do things are. We've been setting this up for the past 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years, I don't know. But we've kind of had our focus there for a while, and I think we're starting to shift towards the top half here, where, okay, we need to kind of implement those same practices and those same reliable standards that we have for the bottom data foundation piece to the top, where we're really sinking in a lot of effort in the intelligence, the decisions, in the automation. So I think, to me, we see when we're talking about AI ready data itself, we're still talking about that bottom piece and making sure and making sure everything there is great. But I think what we want to be shifting our focus towards is not just AI ready data, but being an AI ready enterprise, right? And that's really that top part where the intelligence decisions and automation come in. So not only do you have AI ready data to support that, but you're also becoming an AI ready enterprise by doing the things that we've been talking about, where building that semantic layer, making sure that you have knowledge documented correctly, being able to connect those AI agents to it. So that way, instead of, like I was saying earlier, you just have an AI chatbot that knows a little bit about your organization, you can actually make those automated decisions and kind of build that piece to the top of the pyramid here, where that becomes actually automated and part of the workflow. And to me, that's one thing that's great with what Databricks is doing, right? They're kind of stepping in and giving us the tools to actually build out that layer and go beyond just having AI ready data, but becoming an AI ready enterprise by giving us the tools to build that top piece and making it accessible, easy to use, easy to understand.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to maybe just stress one more point, just line with just Michael mentioned. It's not only for your data to be ready, but also to be enterprise ready for your agent or AI workloads, right? I think that's the governance angle we have to also pay attention to, because reliable answer requires governance to be part of the data layer. The permissions, your lineage, and your certified definitions have to sort of travel with the data together, right? So the AI can sort of inherit them automatically together with your data. And also another like key success point will be cost control, right? uh, we all heard about how much, those companies are, using tokens recently. And when company building those agents, right, they need to make sure those solution is not only useful, but also sort of practically to run at scale. And you can control the cost, right? Every model call, every tool call, and also the workflow step that will add cost into your solution, right? So the goal is to design a agent that are giving strong results while also you keep the performance and the cost under control. So I think that's very important too. As Michael just mentioned, Databricks actually, pretty aligned with just he mentioned that data model, right? So if you can see here, this is our almost most up-to-date sort of a reference architecture, right? From the bottom, we have the open format data lake on any cloud and any data format. So you can put your basically consolidate all your siloed data into one place. And we have that unified governance layer on top of your data, which is Unity catalog and Unity AI gateway. So that's where your policies, your lineage, your cost control live. And on top of that is the Genie Ontology, which is our superstar today. We will get a better understanding later. This is a unified real-time ontology layer, support all your agents, right, to provide that business context. And then on top of that will be our agent layer. So the Genie has the whole series of Genie family, the AI coworker, and Genie Code and others. And also we have Agent Bricks and Omnigent. Those are sort of the multi-harness development developer platform to help you build your own sort of customer agents. And the agentic app on the really top, right? So those are the applications. You can use your agents to support or any kind of use case we're leaving in that layer. So the key idea here is we sort of bring all your build everything like where your data already lives and we have those governance end to end, right? So for your AI use cases. But yeah.
And before we jump into genealogy, Shui, you made a really good point and one that's really relevant in relation to cost control. So I actually had somebody bring this up to me where they said that a semantic layer should be viewed as a means to control token cost. And I was like, that's actually a really interesting way to think about it because
Yeah.
without that investment in governance, well-controlled definitions, lineage, you're effectively just setting an agent loose to basically max through all of your tokens and figure out what the probable best answer is. Whereas if you take the time and investment into constructing a semantic layer, like you know what that unified layer is going to be, you know where your agentic workflows are going to be working through, and thinking about it as a means to minimize token spend, I was like, that's actually a really interesting, neat way to think about it. Like, I'm gonna start using that more and more now. But
Yep.
um, I want to keep us moving because, as Shui said, the star of the show is Geneontology. So let's talk about Geneontology. So Shui, I'm gonna pose this one to you.
Yeah.
Why do you view Geneontology as being so important?
Yeah, thank you for sure. So let's talk about Genie Ontology is part of the Genie family, but it's actually when we see go back to this slide, right? You can see where it sits. If you go to the next one, the slide. Yeah, so Genie Ontology sits right on top of your whole like governance layer and your data layer, right? So uh so that's the place that it can actually provide that context to the whole Genie family, and also you can access that Genie ontology parts through Genie One or Genie agents. So again, I also want to quickly introduce the Genie whole family, right? There's 5 key components here, which is Genie One, Genie Agent, Genie Code, Genie Zero Ops, and Genie App Builder. So Genie One and Genie Agent is already GA, but Geneontology is still in private preview. So it's coming very soon. It's currently just private preview. And Genie Code is also GA, but Genie Zero Ops and the Genie App Builders are still going to be private preview very soon. So I will talk most of them that are GA today. Yeah, if you are interested in others, welcome to contact with Analytics8 and to learn more. So if we move to the next one, let's talk about why as you can see, Geneontology is the foundation, right, for that can enable Genie to understand your business context. And that's what truly sort of differentiates Genie from other AI coworkers. Yeah, so if you go to next one. So we want to just talk about, how this actually work in practice, right? And what is actually Geneontology is doing. So Geneontology is a self-improving knowledge graph. In practice, it continuously extract knowledge from what's already in Databricks, right? Including your dashboards, your notebooks, your pipelines, whatever you already built in the platform, and it judges the authority of that knowledge by how it's being used, who authored it, and also it serves it dynamically while respecting the permission of the source, right? So who can see what, and then there's we make sure there's no information leak, and that's how like Genie actually can beat other agents on accuracy, latency, and the cost and also cost for those data tasks, right? Is because Geneontology provide that information. So yeah, if we can move to the next one. So at the core, Geneontology use an algorithm we call OntoRank. So it's a page rank style algorithm, right? That can score each piece of knowledge by its authority, by its usage frequency, and also how it's tied to certified assets and the freshness, right? So the most trustworthy or say most used context wins this rank. And then that piece of information will be shipped to the agent they are answering your question, and the whole layer is permission aware, right? Because it's building with the Unity Catalog and Unity AI Gateway. So retrieval always respect who allows to see what. So you don't have to worry about the sort of governance layer on top of that. And mechanically, there's 4 steps, right? It's extract and store the ontology snips from your existing source. So the more you're using, the more things you are building within Databricks, there's more things for Geneontology to learn from and to extract from. And then it determines the authority with OntoRank, and it's find the most trustworthy piece of information. And then it searches at the query time when you questions come in, it search at that time to make sure it's most fresh, right? And apply those permissions on the fly. And then it ingests that relevant context to the agent loop. So whoever the agent is answering your question will capture that information and consider and make sure they are reference the correct data source. So you might already see, as one of the source over here, if we move to the next one, yeah, one of the source over here is the Unity Catalog semantic layer, right? So if you're familiar with Databricks, this is a already existing feature before the Data and AI Summit. So the semantics are sort of defining. You see there's a few features, especially the matrix view, is help you to sort of define your business concept, your KPIs, sort of certify this definition across the whole platform, across your organization, right? And other than that, we also have a few new features just released, which is one is we call the glossary, right? This is a new feature we're going to adding soon. It's going to be private preview, maybe a few in August or so. So this is sort of let you to define author the business concept, the terms, the taxonomies that are help agents and also people to understand your business, right? Or some kind of important ones you already have, you can directly pull in. And the glossary page connect to the underlying data and to each other, capture the relationships. Also, if you're using Genie code can also help you draft those new glossary page and also suggest the refinements and the flag definition that are drift from how your data is actually used, where your whole team is creating them together through those suggestions, comments, and domain level ownership, right? So that is for you to define your business logics. And also there's domains are, sort of tag-based logical collections that the organization that you are using to organize your UC Unity catalog workspace assets by like BU, geo, or function, right? All of those domains you are interested. So with 3 of them, that's already actually captured most of the information that Genie Ontology is going to use. And the other part is the self-learning part that we just mentioned, right? So it's going to learn from who is using what and which one is the most trustable based on the Onto rank. And the new sort of release is actually that self-learning parts from Genie Ontology. So if we move to the next one, Geneontology directly supported Genie One, right? So Genie One is actually bring this value to the real life business users. If you move to the next, Genie One is the AI coworker for business user. So it's include a unified search, workflow automation, alerts, document drafting, repeatable skill you can set up. You can also access from mobile apps, Slack, Teams, and with those integration. And also we have MCP, support to help business user to actually can kick off your next text using Genie One. It's really a true sort of a coworker, AI coworker for business users on Databricks out of box, right? So if you move to the next one, so everything a business user needs will live in this one place. It's Genie One. It uses Genie Ontology to help answer your question, right? So user can access it through on the app, or your mobile phone, or Slack or Teams, we can integrate them, and also any kind of MCP app or any like AI tools they already using. Next, please. So if you are already, because it's already have MCP supports, right? So you can plug into whatever AI tool your client standardized on. With MCP, it can help you sort of a response to tickets, update documents, sending emails in real time, and also the source permissions are respected and baked into every response. So basically, we can meet whoever the user already there, right, to use any tools. Next one. Next, please. So they can also you can also schedule tasks and run any kind of cadence or trigger alerts with updates. Sending right to people's inbox. And basically, for example, right, a user can ask Genie to send a daily sale revenue brief, maybe, at 8 a.m. Then Genie will gather that information for you, basically answer that question, create that report and schedule that and send the whole thing to you. So next, please. You can also turn those kind of routine, right, become a published or ready to share documents. So you can basically create documents through Genie by using shared by link or email or PDF or some directly from Genie. Next one, as I mentioned, you can also create skills, right? It's if you're using agents, you're probably very familiar with that. You can also create reusable skills within Genie and share with your teams for consistency and clarity, right? And your teammates can also use and make sure you guys follow the same workflow. Next one. So a key components for Genie One is the Genie agents previously, it's actually the next generation of Genie space, right? So when we use so when some specific domain that need more oversight, or subject experts can sort of create this Genie agents. So turning any chat into a agent with its own instruction skills. Within Genie agent, you can have your own instruction skills and also the source data, right? And then the conversation are scoped to that agent use case itself, and you can deploy it in Genie One. So Genie One can triage to different Genie agents to answer the questions. Again, you can access through Genie One from like Slack, Teams, customer apps, or on your mobile phone, and so on and so forth. Next one, please. So the last piece is governance, like I mentioned multiple times, right? So on Genie, the governance layer is Unified AI Gateway. So if we move to the next one, so Unity AI Gateway is the one control point for your entire AI states, not only for Genie or Geneontology. It's the entire thing, including every agents, every model, and the tools, and all your data will be included in there, right? So even like in the agent you didn't build, things like Amazon Agent Core or Microsoft Foundry, you can also include it in a Unity AI Gateway. So there are 6 key capabilities for Unity AI Gateway. One is the agents registry. So you will have all your agents in one place, and you can set access control. You have contextual policies. There's budgets. You can set caps for each, agents or tools, and also smart routing is a very cool, feature, and agent monitoring. So if we have time, I just want to give what the contextual policy means, right? So here just have a very straightforward example. So if an agent is working with some sensitive PII data, right? It can email to a coworker, that's totally fine. So you should allow. And then if it tries to push that data into maybe your internal Salesforce, okay, maybe I have to ask a human if I have permission to do so. Or now if it's the agent tries to push your data to a public set, definitely deny, right? So here is just let you know, hey, the same push action, if you are using a public data, it should be all allowed, right? So the policy actually reacts to the data itself, not just the role, like who is doing it, but sort of related to the context of the data, right? If that's PII or not. So this is we call the contextual policy. I think that's very important when you are setting those rules for your agent. It's going to be a really good guardrail for you to sort of make sure you don't leak anything you shouldn't. And if we move to the next one, smart routing is a very important feature as well. Especially for cost, right? So here has the example is the gateway routes your complex task to a frontier model like GPT-5, expensive, right? But if you are just asking a trivial question, then let's go to the much cheaper one or even open source one, right? Here, just use the example as Kimi 2.7. This is automatically, right? And you can also set up different fallbacks across providers and clouds and models, right? So in that case, you are stopping, you stop to paying like frontier price for trivial work. I think that's a very important feature to, sort of save your cost. The last piece I want to quickly mention is the agent tracing. To the next one. Yeah. So this gives you the end-to-end visibility to every call, right? The cost, every decision the agent made, every answer. And then you can sort of ingest those data into either Lakewatch to monitor, or you can build your own dashboard to monitor, how the agent is working, and also very clear about the cost, who spent what and how much, right? Like I mentioned, there's an agent registry discover page. You can see all of them, and also including external ones, right? If you are using, external agents, we can also give you those information, like the budgets. You can set cap for, spend for different users, different groups with different models. So yeah, I will stop there. But yeah, that's basically how we sort of support from the multiple layers, right? The context, your cost, your governance, and to make sure you are sort of AI enterprise ready. Thanks.
Awesome. I appreciate that insight and context so much. I think it's really enormously valuable to kind of get your point of view on the platform itself, some of the recent additions, just announcements coming out of Summit, some of the innovation within the platform. I think smart routing, like that's awesome. Cannot tell you how many times people run into their token limits using a frontier model inadvertently on development tasks, and I think
I'll raise my hand on that one.
yeah,
I
I wasn't
will.
gonna
I
I wasn't
will.
gonna point
You
you
can
out on
call
that
me
one.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. So we can kind of jump to the last segment, and then we want to leave a little bit of time for Q&A. So, Michael, Shui, if you don't mind, what are some general best practices that our audience should be thinking based on everything that we covered today?
Yeah, maybe I can quickly, because I'm talking a lot on Databricks itself. I think generally speaking, to provide that context layer, we have to sort of make sure we have all those documentation clear, defined, especially for the business descriptions, your KPI sort of agreement, right? On Databricks, we set up those things, from the beginning. So when you have a data set, we ask you to actually have the documentation for each table, each column. What does that mean? And we have matrix view for you to define, hey, this KPI, this is the matrix, this is the SQL query should run, and this is the golden table, right? You can certify those kind of things. But if you're not running on Databricks, I think that's also important. You have to have the sort of enterprise agreement about those things. It's not only for AI, but also for human. So we can sort of align. We don't end up like multiple dashboard reporting different things. So those contexts, setting up to get them ready, right? Um, and yeah, I think governance is also very important. What we should offer to the to agent to see, what we shouldn't, and based on I think also those context sort of governance is kind of important. So if we can have those layers, right,
Mhm.
building layer by layer, then we should be good to go.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I can talk here about really two things come to mind in my opinion. And the first thing is really kind of everything that Shui just said, where you need to really start thinking about everything in this contextual knowledge-based type way, right? Like we're not just talking about data anymore. We're not just talking about are our sales numbers accurate? It's more of okay, yes, we have data, we have a data model, everything is great, but do we have all of the metadata surrounding it correctly applied? Do we have the internal knowledge being versioned in highly available and trustworthy and authoritative, right? So the first part is really what Troy said, where you need to start thinking and building out that first step of building the semantic layer and the knowledge and making sure that all of the best practices that you would put anywhere else when it comes to data engineering are also applied to that layer. And kind of the second piece here that I want to make sure I stress, and I know Shui said whether you're on Databricks or not, but I'm going to talk about Databricks because I'm a huge fan of Databricks and use it all the time. Use the tools that Databricks gives you, right? Databricks gives you, especially, I mean, to start with what we were just talking about in Unity Catalog, it gives you so many tools. It makes it so easy to build that whole knowledge graph and that to build all those semantics into your platform with metric views, being able to actually put those KPIs that you usually would have documented somewhere or whatever into real calculations that the platform can use, right? Unity Catalog, I'll say a while ago, I went to a Databricks talk here in Boston, and one of the speakers said Unity Catalog is more than just security and governance. It's really the brain behind the platform, right? So just Unity Catalog itself, plus all of the cool things that Shui went over today that we can start using in the future. using all of those tools that Databricks offers to really build out the platform is the way to do it. Because if you're just using Databricks for data engineering itself, you're not taking advantage of the whole platform and everything that it offers and all the insights and future work that it can prepare you for. So if you're not using all of those tools at your disposal to their fullest, I highly recommend you read up on them, learn how to do it, implement those best practices for knowledge and semantics that we talk about, but do it in Databricks, use those tools and really build out your platform to the fullest.
No, all awesome points. And then, I think for me, it just kind of pushes data governance to the forefront. As somebody who's been in the space for a really long time, I know build first and then kind of account for data governance at some point in the future tended to be the model that I would see quite a bit across organizations. And I think it just puts the governance aspect front and center, just being so core critical to the direction of the industry right now that if you haven't invested the time and the effort, looking into semantics, context layers, metadata, data lineage tracing, like those are all things that need to be at the forefront of your mind. We do have one final poll question, so I'm gonna jump to Shiro. Um, so we'll pose one more poll question for you, which is, would a deeper discussion be valuable? One being, I'd like to learn more about Geneontology. Two being, I'd like to discuss our AI and data readiness. And three, not right now, because that's okay too as well.
Man, we should have had an all of the above.
Yeah,
Thank you. And yeah, this will prompt our team to reach out to you with the email you registered. So thank you so much. Excited to speak with you and your data needs and about Genie as well. So we'll give everyone another minute here. Man, that was awesome. There's so much content there. I know we already have a few questions lined up, so make sure you stick for around for the next few minutes because we're gonna get to them. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been really amazing so far. And um, usually I'm like very, very at the end, and I only have like a minute for Q&A. So I appreciate us,
Yeah, sure.
Kevin, moving us along very nicely too, because that seems to never happen on these. So thank you. All right, I'm gonna end the poll here in one, two, and three. Here we go. All right. So, with that, let's move on to the Q&A section. So I think there was a specific question around Genie Ontology that I saw in Q&A. So, Shrey, I'll ask this to you,
Yeah.
specifically around the knowledge graph. Are you able to make any changes, or is this only internally done by Databricks around ontology of the
Uh,
knowledge graph?
yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. So, yeah. So currently, this is the first release. I think Genie Ontology is more sort of learn by itself based on how you're actually built on Databricks, right? The more you are using it, I think the more the better Genie Ontology learns, and also depends on like I just mentioned, the whole metadata side on the Unity catalog side. If you can build those things, uh, build your definition, make sure you capture all of those. So that's the part you can actually shape Genie Ontology, right? So when you build your tables, you got all your documentations, all your definitions. That's the part you can actually help building and shape the Genie Ontology. But the algorithm that's runs, to choose which piece of the information is most important, those are automatically. And again, it's also the more you are using it, it's getting more smarter. It's getting smarter, and to get all those information that sufficient for answer your questions. So hopefully that's that.
Great. And I knew this question was probably going to pop up. Is there a public roadmap for when these features go GA?
Yeah, good question. It's a tough question to answer. Currently, it's in private preview. So if you are a Databricks customer, you can actually ask the account team, like who is your AE or SA, to help sort of enable that in your environment. but yeah, I don't have a solid time, timeline that for when it's going to GA. But yeah, if you are interested, you can actually starting testing now, to just ask the team to help you enable it in your environment.
Right. We did have a question that I think got a lot of upvotes earlier. This is not specific to, I think, Genie, but from Robert Woods. Our company runs multiple operations for different entities with different semantics and rules for each of these entities. How would we approach breaking up the ontology setup for each entity? We have some entities separate out into separate workspaces, but one workspace that operates across multiple entities as well.
Yeah.
I know it was a mouthful, but if you scroll up in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good question. So it's more like um I think in ideal scenario, right? So we can sort of unify all those definitions, but understood if you have different, let's say if you have different accounts or different regions, the ideal scenario is we have one account, right, for per company, and then everything is under the Unity catalog. But we are working on some features that the Unity sort of Unity catalog can cross region, cross cloud. That is coming soon. So as long I think when the day comes when Unity catalog can cover across different region or different accounts, different cloud, then that's we can break that sort of a silo. Um, but I think you are talking about very important points that we didn't address during the discussion is we still have a sort of a system silo or a data silo, and that's the goal Databricks gonna to sort of a break, right? So we have so much different connectors that you can directly ingest your data into Databricks, and also not to mention those federation, Unity Catalog federation that can actually links all your data into UC. So those are also going to captured by the Genie Ontology because it's the metadata, the information are captured by UC, right? So that is why we make those things much easier. If you want to DIY or use others, it will be pretty challenge.
Sure. I have a question that kind of follows up with this idea is, delta sharing and open sharing, right? How does that play into what we're talking about here? And how does that fit into ontology where, being able to share between across catalogs and in accounts, that way? And how does that fit in?
Yeah, I think data sharing is sort of still sharing the data. Um, Basically, get the other access to it. But if you want to use it, you still have to sort of put into your catalog, so we can capture that information, right? Um, so yeah, I think it's slightly different from this point of view for sort of getting external data. So more will be links on the federation parts. So if you can federate into Unity catalog, then those information will be captured. But data sharing is just you get access to, but you still have to sort of pull the data in and build your metadata. Of course, when you share, you already have that information, but you have to ingest into your Unity catalog to be able to
Awesome.
leverage. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I see another question here, and I think we got time for this last one here. How can the accuracy of ontology be measured? Having access to enterprise information, documents, data, third-party workflows, and I'm trying to determine how to ensure integrity and completeness and other such dimensions.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of the performance, especially the accuracy, right? Um, we do have like a best practice help you to build the Genie agents. And then also for Genie One, I think a similar thing. If you want to really measure how, those agent or AI coworker works, maybe some sort of uh, specific use case you can collect, right? You know the answer, and then you can sort of evaluate how that works. Because Genie Ontology, you basically at least at this point, other than you just build your metadata to define those matrix and so on and so forth, that's the part you can sort of we can contribute to create the glossary page,
Hmm.
have define those domains matrix views. Other than that, it's more from the automatic fashion, right? So we cannot really say, hey, we do something to improve. So but you can improve the sort of accuracy from the Genie agents, because Genie agents is a bigger component of Genie One. It's going to use Geneontology information, but you can also define like definitions. You can give sample queries and so on and so forth to make sure Genie agents is perform good. So every I think it's again you probably gonna to have a data set that you can sort of really to evaluate the performance. We have the blog published that we are using like other than Genie One, but um, other sort of agent to sort of answer the same set of question regarding a certain like industry data set, and to answer some like business contact questions. And Genie can have with Genie ontology support, Genie One can actually boost the accuracy from around 50 to 3, jump to over 80% accuracy, right? So I can share the link of the chat of the blog in the chat, so you will see there's a benchmark that we have done. You can also run your own benchmark, probably use your internal use case. But yeah, at this point, what we can contribute is to make those definition or your glossary page, your matrix view, and also the domains setting up, and the rest is Genie sort of automatically learn. Cool. All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're just coming up at time, and I want to make sure I thank our guests for joining here today. If you do want to follow and connect with us on LinkedIn, I'm sharing all of our profiles, starting with Michael, then Kevin and Shui in the chat. So make sure to add them on LinkedIn. It's a great place to connect with your data peers as well. And Shui, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for Databricks for providing this resource today. And Kevin and Michael, thanks again. It's always great to have you on these webinars. So appreciate it. If we didn't get to your question, please try and follow up with us. We're happy to answer in the future. And again, the recording will be provided to you tomorrow, and our team will be following up within the next few business days if you answered yes on wanting to learn more. So thank you so much again. Hope you have a good rest of your day and good rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.